Welcome to my PIDP online assignment based on the implementation of the CAT platform Kahoot in my classroom. So what is Kahoot? Kahoot is a version of a game-based learning tool. It's an online quiz generator. The students use their smartphones to connect with your quiz online to answer various questions. There are various options as to how you get to play within this platform, which we'll get into the next few slides. But before we go on, what is game-based learning? Game-based learning broadly refers to the use of video games to support teaching and learning. With Kahoots, it is an online platform. There is a free option, but you can opt in and purchase a subscription to get more out of your games you can use. I chose to use just the basic version with this first implementation in my classroom. There are many ways to use your Kahoot. You can use it to introduce new topics, review content, teach a lesson, reinforce any knowledge base. You can run a formative assessment, break the ice and use it as a reward system. You can collect opinions or create polls, deliver self-paced learning. You can really turn your learners into leaders as they can actually create their own Kahoots as well, or they can help you create Kahoots that'll be helpful for them in the future. We can foster creativity and teamwork. And when you pay for certain subscriptions, you can connect with classrooms globally while also teaching your colleagues with professional development sessions. I chose to use it more of a review content platform and to introduce new topics. So how do you play? You can create your own quizzes, as easy or as complex as you wish. I created a few quite easy 10 to 20 questions, multiple choice, to implement in my classroom. You can create self-paced games that you can actually post on Moodle. I just used the multiple choice quizzes and I created some multiple choice quizzes there, or used some of the true and false questions as well. You can create a poll or get an opinion from the class. You can make it a little bit more complex and create a puzzle or prioritization game. And you can really adjust the game to what the needs are in your classroom. If you want to do a little bit more complex, then you can alter and change your game to what you need to. These were a few of the Kahoots that I did implement into my classroom. So you can see one was a labor and delivery review, about 20 questions. That would probably be as long as I would go with them. And the other one was for continuous bladder irrigation. And it was about 10 questions. So what guiding principles drives Kahoot? Parada's research was found to target 5 guiding principles in game-based learning. So with game-based learning, you're going to find a lot of intrinsic motivation. Gaming is motivating in itself because it's a voluntary activity. It's best used in the context of inviting the person versus telling them that they have to do it. So I found inviting them to refresh, inviting them to review the content with me on those days we did the Kahoots was a great tool. Learning through intense enjoyment and fun. So again, it's a game. Everybody's having fun. Might bring in a little bit of healthy competition into the classroom. Authenticity. Really, you can make this quiz whatever you need. You can make it very authentic to your needs, to your classroom needs. You can use and abuse it to whatever you seem it being fitting into your classroom. Self-reliance and autonomy. So it does encourage that student to be independent, inquire about that content taught, gives them a little bit of autonomy in the fact that they can go through and go play through those self-paced games. They can maneuver through the games or quizzes independently. And experiential learning. So it provides an alternative way to learn these different skills. So why did I choose Kahoot? Because it's fun, it's interactive, it's quick, the easy way to refresh content, especially if we're talking terminology, information, right? Great study tool guide, and an easy way that I found pre-class to incorporate new information that we were going to go over to see, kind of feel out the class. What did they know? How much did they understand? Did they actually do the pre-reading? Did they not? And then I can change my learning plan as needed. So some advantages I found with the Kahoot: it definitely keeps the students motivated and engaged. We had some really good, healthy competition going on in our classroom. At one point, we split up half and half into the classroom and used it team one against team two. We did it individually. We definitely got the creativity and the motivation going in those classes. We used the Kahoot. Definitely has a benefit to be transparent about what information is needed to achieve goals, so you can really show the students what is important, right? When they're learning to study, when they're trying to study, they know what we're reviewing in class is the important details. It can provide us teachers data to use to make those critical decisions before class begins. So I used it pre-class, and then I could see, again, like I said, what they knew, what they didn't know, and I can make the activities more complex, a little bit more basic, whatever that class needed that day. It allows exploration of the content from a new point of view, so just providing a different type of learning platform for those students, right? And using game-based learning allows teachers to sharpen their digital skill sets. I definitely found that was a great advantage using Kahoot, is to strengthen my technology skill sets. Some disadvantages we found: it can definitely provide us with some challenges. It's technology. Sometimes we were able to connect, sometimes we couldn't. We had some phones that would connect with the game, other phones had no problems. And then it wasn't apparent in my class, but you can run into that whole issue of digital divide, right? Our more mature students aren't used to being so technologically dependent, where our younger students definitely are and like to have everything online, where other students may struggle with that. Sometimes you'll find the general appeal of playing a game might not be universal in the class. I had two give feedback about not being completely excited about playing a game and didn't see how it added to their learning experience. But again, different student learners, different learning platforms can be used. They can find it frustrating, right? Difficult to respond if they're not prepared for the quiz. It can be very difficult to align with your learning outcomes at times. And depending on how you use your quiz, if you allow your students to attach an actual name to their answers, it is posted up on the board if you're showing it through a computer, and they can be quite self-conscious if they're showing that they're not getting those answers right, if they're always incorrect, right? So the implementation in my class, what I did is, as suggested in our text, the classroom assessment technique, I used it as a background knowledge check tool. So I did the Kahoot at the beginning of class to get a feel of, okay, where everybody was at. I used that to adapt my learning plan to the needs, right? So I made it a little more complex if I saw that they had more base knowledge. I made it a little bit more basic if I saw that they didn't. Then I followed up with a post Kahoot as well, just to see, okay, where we were at, what was retained, what areas didn't really seem very clear, some areas were really clear, and went with that. Then I also got the students to actually write down 2 questions for me to possibly use for the next Kahoot. That also allowed me to see, okay, what did they retain, what were they a little bit confused about, what areas did they feel they needed a little bit more. So how I evaluated my Kahoot, I made a simple 5-question eval for them because it was the first time I've used it. I've asked them, was it easy to use? Was it helpful in prepping for the class? So that pre-class Kahoot, was it helpful at all? Was it helpful in summarizing and reviewing? So more of that post-class Kahoot, was it helpful? Was it not? Did the Kahoots help improve the class at all? And then the last question I wanted to know, did it hinder the class? And do you guys have any suggestions, or did they have any suggestions for improvement? Overall, I had the majority of the class really enjoyed the Kahoots. Some of them answered that they liked the anonymity of the answers because then you didn't have that self-consciousness of your name being up there saying that you were wrong. They loved that I asked for student-led questions afterwards because it was really getting feedback from them. I did get two, like I said before, feedbacks that they said they did not really add to the classroom learning. And then the other comments that I got were that it was fun and interactive, created a lot of healthy competition, made them really remember what was going on with what terminology, helped them apply that information. So overall, I feel that the application of the Kahoot quizzes in my class was an absolute success. I will continue using the platform in my classes. I've definitely gained more respect for use of game-based tools in the classroom, but I've also decided I am going to tweak it a little bit. I may not have a pre and post Kahoot every single class. I may look at the content, the classes with a little bit heavier content. I may do a pre and a post. Just it might need a little bit more review with the heavier content. But then I also wanted to look at other platforms as well, other CAT tools to incorporate to just identify that not all my students are the same type of learners. So I think not oversaturating my classes with game-based learning for sure. But I will definitely be using the Kahoot platforms in the future in my classes. And here are a list of my references that I've used. I hope you enjoyed my assignment and presentation. Thank you.